Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're back on the updates 1.87 dev server and we're having a look at the M1A1 Abrams. This is the first American rank 7 battle rating 10.0 vehicle, and as you can see it's very similar to the other ones apart from one key difference. This is equipped with the 120mm M256, and obviously this means that this is the first Abrams we have in game which has access to the 120 and also the different rounds that it brings. It also has a 50 caliber machine gun on the top of it and includes two 7.62 machine guns on top of the smoke launchers that you see on the side. This is probably more akin to the Abrams that you all know and love since all of those are pretty much or have the 120s on them. If we have a look at the X-ray view of the Abrams, you can see that it has the fuel tanks on the front with this rolled homogeneous armor, and then the lower plate is 32-600-101 with the right side, as you were looking at it, 38-600-101, and the other side 38-600-101 as well, with a little bit less angling, as you can see. So we also have on the side 19-300 and 101 with 6 350-13 around the first stage ammo rack. This machine does have access to blowout panels on the back, just like the M1 Abrams does. I'll probably try and test it if I can, make sure that it works and all of that goodness. But right now, I just want to go through what this is. The best way to describe this is it's an M1IP which has a bigger gun. A lot of people are probably wondering about the armor. They're probably looking at it, how it's going to fare, but it's exactly the same as the M1 Abrams. It's very, very similar, at least I should say. If we add in the German Leopard 2A5 with the DM33, you can see down here it has 340mm of effective armor. So you can easily go through that. You can pretty much go through all of the upper glacis, and if you don't, you bounce it into the turret just like you do on the other M1 Abrams. The turret cheeks are set at around 400 to 420 on the right hand side, and on the left hand side you're looking at around about 400. So overall, not enough to stop the top tier rounds that you have coming from other nations. The obvious place to shoot as well is the turret ring, which still doesn't have any protection, sat at 28mm, with 76mm in other areas, which is not going to stop anything. Sides, you're looking at 120 to 72, so a lot of AA are going to be having fun with this. 32 on the booty of this machine, and 13mm on the back of this turret. So not a lot of armor protection. It's actually pretty standard, but there is nowhere where I would feel comfortable with this thing being shot at any angle, because from anywhere there will be a weak spot that you can see. Modification wise, this machine starts off with a heat FS round, the M830. It pens 650 at 0 degrees, 562mm at 30 degrees, and 324mm at 60. So it actually pens a decent amount. The problem is the majority of vehicles at this tier have crazy chemical protection. So you're going to be wanting to use this M829 round, which is a rank 3 modification. There's also other modifications which look pretty key: laser rangefinder, ESS, smoke grenades, and of course engine. But the M829, the stats for it are 1,679 meters per second. It has a projectile mass of 4.3 kilos, 493 at 0 degrees, 427 at 30, 284 at 60 degrees. So this round is very good. It has an incredible 0 degree pen, 30 and 60. I think this is at least one of the best rounds that we have been added to the game, on top of the fact that this thing has such a great reload. The reload on this M1A1, if we have a look at the loader, its base is 6.5, so that is lower than other machines that we have at a similar tier, and the top is 5 seconds. This thing is going to be a monster at firing that 120 alongside everything else. It's going to have decent speed as well. It has a 1,519 horsepower engine at the back. It's a Honeywell AGT 1500 gas turbine engine. It has a max speed of 72 kilometers an hour in realistic, so very similar maneuverability to the other Abrams. As I said, it's incredibly similar to the other ones, apart from the extra penetration you get from the gun. Now, when it comes to camouflages, it does have a decent amount. So it has the standard green, you got a late desert camouflage, which looks absolutely beautiful. You got the basic desert camouflage, not so nice. Late summer camouflage, look at that. That to me is one of my favorite camouflages in the game. You got the late forest camouflage as well, which is beautiful. Very much looks to me like an Abrams. And then of course the winter camouflage, which is the best out of the bunch. So you have a bunch of lovely camouflages here. I'm going to pick this one just because I like the contrast on the different stuff. Let's take it out for a test drive, show you how it feels and what it looks like, and of course the acceleration that this machine can give you. Another thing to point out, turret rotation, incredibly good in this machine, which is standard across all these top tier vehicles. It also has access to dual drive, which is pretty good on flat ground. We'll have to see how well it is when it comes to not being on flat ground. The turrets, let's just get it there. The stabilizer is once again crazy. It has really good optics as well. That optics is pretty very good actually. So let's just check what its reverse is first. Reverse is 40 kilometers an hour backwards. Alright then. So it's slightly better than the Leopard 2A5 that we tested earlier. The Leopard 2A5 had, I believe, a 30 kilometers an hour, and now we can see the acceleration of this machine while listening to the engine. It's an incredibly good machine when it comes to acceleration. It may not be as good as the other M1s, but it is at least very close, and gets up to 40 without even thinking. 40 to 50 is also very good. I would say its acceleration is slightly better than the Leopard 2A5 that we tested out earlier. You can see that the gun is incredibly stable, even at 50 kilometers an hour across. You've got a little bit of movement, but it isn't really enough to be able to screw up your shots. This machine definitely feels wide, I will say that, but so do the other Abrams. And the sleekness of this design is lovely to see. But I would definitely just say, even though this thing, you know, it is technically a more advanced vehicle than the M1 Abrams that we have, the survivability is pretty much the same. It's, unless you shoot it in certain areas, it's going to be quite hard to one-shot it, but it is easy to penetrate this machine. The low glacis, the turret cheeks, the drive, there is no angle where you are safe from criticism from another round. That doesn't mean that you can't dish it out though. The M8, the top tier round, the APF SDS round on the Abrams seems incredibly good. Let's just see. I'm not sure if we can pen the turret of a T64, but we're gonna have a go. The only issue I can see is the fact that it's a rank 3 modification, right? So trying to get this thing up to rank 3 modifications may be a bit of a pain. You can see that the T64 turret still is able to bounce this shell, showing how strong it is. The T80 turret is incredibly strong, by the way. That is another thing that we'll have a look at too. You can see straight through the normal penetration point using the Abrams. And then of course the Shilker over here. I think I was a little bit too early. But the reload's good, the guns are good. There isn't really a downside to this apart from the armor, so it will feel definitely like a snapshot competition. You have the ability with the speed to get to areas before some of your allied or enemies may. And on top of this, you will have the ability to use the gun to great effect because of the round. The top tier round that this has is one of the best in game right now. One of the problems the Abrams had before is the top tier round was good, but it wasn't the best. Now we're talking about an Abrams with one of the best, if not the best round in the game. Oops. And because of that, now this machine is incredibly scary. You've also got to put it into context. Technically, the Americans have the best top-tier helicopter. They also now have 3 Abrams vehicles, the M1, the M1IP, and the M1A1. They also, on top of it, have the Sergeant York, which just got the buff from the radar changes. And then you also have the Bradley, one of the better IFVs. There is not really a lot. You also have the F100D and the FJ with the AGMs and plenty of air-to-air missiles going around. This vehicle is just kind of like a cherry on the top of what is already a pre-existing, really good American lineup. And it is a wonderful cherry. It's sparkling and it's, you know, absolutely beautiful to see. But I wouldn't say it's going to change that much. I really wouldn't. It just means that you can shoot in areas where you could shoot before, but you could get a little bit luckier with where you pen. The rounds are slightly better than before, and that's about it. The reload's the same, maneuver... oh, that was a bit weird, wasn't it? The maneuverability is the same, the reload is the same, the armor is very similar to before, so you're going to just have to use this exactly like you would the normal Abrams. The only difference is, at some points, it'll be easier for you to be able to pen stuff. So, in that regard, I would say yes, it is an upgrade. The question is, how big of an upgrade is it over its compatriots in the Abrams category? I don't think it's a huge one. If it got access to better rounds, then yes. If it got access to the M1A1 HA, the heavy armor variant, which was the first one which had DU armor in it, then yes, we would be talking about a major upgrade. But with this one, is it a major upgrade? I don't think so. I think instead what we're seeing is another vehicle which is very similar to the rest of them and won't really change the meta too much. It pretty much just means you now have 3 spawns of an Abrams instead of just 2, and that's obviously disincluding backups and everything like that. The current meta right now favors this type of tank. Good speed, good reload, good gun. So it is going to be a good vehicle. The question is, how much will it affect what was already going on beforehand? Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.